Sinister stories.
In the quaint town of Hillside Falls, nestled amidst snow-covered hills and embraced by the wintry tranquility, an inexplicable phenomenon unfolded on a cold, snowy morning. Overnight, nearly 100 snowmen emerged throughout the town, each one meticulously crafted, adorning streets, parks, and yards. Initially perceived as a whimsical display of wintertime festivities, the townsfolk chuckled at the unexpected sight. Children laughed and played around the snowmen, admiring their various forms and sizes. Some residents marveled at the uncanny resemblance of a few snowmen to familiar faces, dismissing it as mere chance. However, as the morning sun cast its golden glow upon the snow-laden town, whispers began to circulate among neighbors. A subtle unease settled among a few who noticed the striking resemblance of certain snowmen to their deceased loved ones. Despite the growing unease, most of the townspeople took the day as an opportunity for a communal snow day, enjoying themselves by knocking down and rearranging the snowmen. It was seen as a playful pastime, an innocent way to revel in the winter wonderland. Soon the town was nestled in their beds, exhausted from the day's activities. As morning approached, the number of snowmen had inexplicably doubled. A sense of foreboding crept through Hillside Falls as more townsfolk recognized the eerie likeness of the new snowmen to those who had vanished that very morning. Panic swept through the town like a blizzard, drowning the residents in a wave of fear and uncertainty. Families recounted the morning's disappearances and the unsettling sight of the snowmen that appeared in their absence. Attempts to dismantle the snowmen met with bizarre resistance. They stood steadfast against the townspeople's efforts, as if possessing a life of their own, refusing to be altered or destroyed. As the townspeople struggled to comprehend the inexplicable events, the sheriff urged caution, warning against further attempts to demolish the snowmen. Fear spread like wildfire, paralyzing the townspeople with dread as they witnessed the relentless appearance of new snowmen each day. On the third morning, the town awoke to a chilling realization. Every destroyed snowman had reappeared, accompanied by a new snowman bearing a haunting resemblance to whoever had destroyed the previous day's figure. This revelation sent shockwaves through the town, spreading fear and paranoia among the residents. No one dared tamper with the snowmen anymore, afraid of invoking the inexplicable force behind their eerie reappearance. Days passed, and the once idyllic town of Hillside Falls became engulfed by hundreds of snowmen, each bearing the likeness of someone from the past or present. Some represented those who had vanished, while others mirrored familiar faces from the town's history. The townspeople, gripped by terror, barricaded themselves indoors, haunted by the unsettling figures that loomed outside their windows. The snowmen stood in silent vigil, an unsettling testament to the town's darkest fears and an enigma that defied any rational explanation. Despite pleas from the sheriff and attempts to decipher the mystery, the relentless influx of snowmen continued. With each passing day, the town was further inundated by the chilling figures, leaving the residents trapped in a nightmarish cycle of fear and uncertainty. The sheriff, determined to save his people, tried to make sense of what was happening. He searched every history book that town had to offer. He interviewed every resident he could. Nothing makes sense, and no one had any idea what was happening. The sheriff tiptoed around town, careful not to disturb any of the snowmen, for he did not want to become another victim in this terrifying tale. The town looked for the sheriff to save them, but he came up with nothing but more snowmen crowding their town. The sheriff continued to try to deter others from disturbing the snowmen, because attempts to dismantle or modify the snowmen were met with inexplicable resistance. The figures stood unyielding, as if guarding an unknown truth, refusing to be altered or moved. Days melted into nights, but the eerie phenomenon persisted. The snowmen multiplied, growing in numbers and resemblance, leaving the townsfolk stranded in a chilling nightmare. Desperation drove some to leave Hillside Falls, seeking refuge in neighboring towns, hoping to escape the haunting presence of the figures that lined the streets. Yet, as they departed, whispers followed, tales of new snowmen appearing in their wake, bearing the likeness of those who had fled. The atmosphere in the town grew somber and tense. Fear gripped the residents, casting a pall over their once bustling community. It seemed as if the snowmen were a manifestation of the town's deepest fears and unresolved conflicts, growing with each passing day. Attempts to understand the pattern behind the snowmen's appearance proved futile. A sense of resignation settled over Hillside Falls as they reluctantly accepted the eerie figures as a part of their daily lives. With each dawn, the town awaited the inevitable. A new influx of snowmen, each one a chilling mirror of the town's past and present. The figures stood stoic, an unsettling testament to the town's darkest fears and unanswered questions. Hillside Falls, once a serene haven, now lay ensnared in the grip of an unknown force, surrounded by an ever-growing army of snowmen, a chilling reminder of their darkest fears and an unyielding riddle that refused to be solved. The town's fate remained shrouded in an icy mystery. In the end, Hillside Falls became a town frozen in time, ensnared by the enigmatic snowmen. The mystery remained unsolved, leaving an enduring legacy of fear and uncertainty. The truth behind the snowmen and the fate of the missing townsfolk became an open-ended tale, haunting the town for years to come. A chilling reminder of the inexplicable forces that lingered within the hearts of its inhabitants. In the heart of a sleepy town, the Christmas Eve air was thick with festive cheer. Yet within the confines of the local radio station, the atmosphere was anything but merry. Pete, a seasoned DJ, had drawn the short straw, manning the station alone on this hallowed night. As the clock struck midnight, the airwaves filled with classic holiday tunes, and Pete's voice resonated through the speakers, a comforting presence in the quiet town. The soft glow of the control panel cast a warm hue over the otherwise dimly lit room. However, as the night progressed, the festive tunes slowly faded into the background, replaced by an eerie silence. Pete's voice cracked through the radio waves, inviting listeners to share their holiday stories, their favorite memories, or even a wish for the year ahead. Yet instead of the usual jovial calls, distressing messages started trickling in from concerned listeners. Reports of chaos, accidents, and even violent altercations flooded the station's phone lines. Panic coursed through the voices on the other end, painting a grim picture of a town besieged by mayhem. Worried and puzzled, Pete attempted to calm the distressed callers, assuring them that help was on the way. Frantically, he reached for the phone to dial the local authorities, his heart pounding with apprehension. However, the response from the police was dismissive. They waved it off as a holiday prank, citing that the so-called victims were fine and there were no reports of any disturbances in town. Pete's brow furrowed in confusion. How could the callers be fine when their voices echoed with terror and desperation? As the night wore on, the calls continued, an incessant stream of chilling tales and pleas for help. Pete, torn between disbelief and concern, attempted to rationalize the situation, but the unsettling truth eluded him. Frustrated and feeling helpless, Pete attempted to reach out to the callers again, probing for more details. That's when a shiver coursed down his spine. The timestamps on the incoming calls, they weren't from the now. They were coming from the future. Pete's heart skipped a beat. Could this be some elaborate hoax or a bizarre technical glitch? His mind raced, trying to make sense of the inexplicable. The notion of receiving calls from a future plunged him into a state of unease. As the realization sunk in, a wave of anxiety washed over him. The voices on the other end, the cries for help, they weren't a joke or a mere prank. They were warnings from a time yet to unfold. With a sense of urgency, Pete attempted once more to contact the authorities, trying to convey the gravity of the situation, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. The police brushed it off, dismissing his claims as a radio stunt gone too far. Alone in the dimly lit studio, Pete wrestled with the weight of the calls. His mind raced with the implications of what he had discovered. What catastrophic events awaited the town, and how could he prevent the impending chaos? The clock ticked on, each passing minute a relentless reminder of the impending doom. Pete's gaze darted to the control panel, contemplating whether to continue airing or shut down the broadcast. As the night crept toward dawn, a chilling thought dawned upon Pete. Perhaps he held the key to changing the future. Should he warn the town, alter events, or let fate run its course? A sense of responsibility and dread weighed heavily on his shoulders. The station's airwaves hung in suspense, a haunting silence echoing through the studio. And there, in that isolated room on Christmas Eve, Pete grappled with an unimaginable burden: to intervene or to let time unravel as it would. The radio waves crackled with uncertainty, holding within them the chilling premonitions of a future yet to unfold. Amid the surreal atmosphere of the radio station, Pete's heart thudded in his chest as he grappled with the gravity of the situation. The eerie realization that the distress calls were coming from a time yet to pass had sent a chill down his spine. With a tremble in his hand, he steadied himself to make sense of the impossible. The control room's walls seemed to close in as the clock ticked towards the witching hour. The phone lines remained eerily quiet after the flurry of distress calls. Pete's thoughts whirled, haunted by the urgency in the callers' voices and the indifferent response from the authorities. Just as he began to question his own sanity, the phone jolted, piercing through the quiet room like a bolt of lightning. His brother's name flashed on the caller ID, accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread. With trembling fingers, Pete hesitated before answering, unsure of what twisted reality awaited him on the other end. "Hello?" Pete's voice quivered, choked with apprehension. "Pete, it's me." The voice on the other end gasped, breathless and desperate. It was unmistakably his brother, Tom. "I need help. Please, I don't have much time." Tom's panicked voice sliced through the air, carrying a sinister undertone that sent shivers down Pete's spine. The urgency in Tom's plea was unmistakable, tinged with sheer terror and the palpable fear of impending doom. "There's someone's after me, Pete. I don't know who or why, but they're trying to..." Tom's voice broke, choked with fear. Pete's heart pounded like a drumbeat. He struggled to process the surreal conversation unfolding before him. How could his brother be calling him from the future, facing imminent danger? "Tom, where are you?" Pete's voice trembled with concern. "I'll call the police. Tell me where you are." Pete's mind raced, trying to piece together the incomprehensible puzzle. The chilling realization sank in. Tom's plea for help was transcending time itself, reaching Pete from a future trapped in a horrifying cycle. He tried to call his brother from his own cell phone, but the number went straight to voicemail every time. Desperation clawed at Pete's heart. He fumbled with the phone, frantically dialing the authorities, urging them to take his brother's distress call seriously. But just like before, his pleas were met with skepticism, dismissed as a prank or a fabricated story. Alone in the eerie glow of the control room, Pete grappled with an impossible choice. How could he save his brother from an unknown assailant, seemingly operating beyond the boundaries of time and reality? As the night wore on, Pete was haunted by the echoes of Tom's cries for help. His mind raced with questions, searching for a way to break the cycle that ensnared his brother. In a desperate bid to alter the future, Pete contemplated going public with the chilling events. He considered broadcasting Tom's plea, hoping to unravel the inexplicable mystery and prevent the imminent danger that loomed over his brother. Yet, a creeping sense of futility washed over Pete. Would his actions change anything, or was the sinister force manipulating events beyond his control? In the quiet solitude of the radio station, Pete grappled with the overwhelming burden of his brother's distress call from the future. The night waned, and with the dawn approaching, an unsettling uncertainty hung heavy in the air. All Pete could do was wait to see his brother on Christmas morning and hope to protect him as best he could. As Pete was packing up as he approached the end of his shift, the phone rang again. Pete was reluctant to walk over to the phone. He contemplated just walking out. But Pete soon realized that not knowing a problem was not the same as not having one. Pete's expression froze when he looked down and saw the caller ID read his own name, Pete.